Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the XP Podcast Level 12. Today I'm joined with my co-host Austin. Dude, how you doing, man? Everything regarding Stadia has been like in your favor this week, and it's been awesome seeing so much of like responses to your tweets and reactions to your tweets recently. It's been awesome, dude. How's the week been for you?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked I don't have the blue check mark by now, but no, no, it's been a great week for Stadia and cloud gaming in general, just news all around, and yeah, the whole like it's something like the Stadia community. I don't know if it's because they're like so small, but it's like seems like everyone likes and retweets each other's stuff, and everyone's like so on board with it for those who do use it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome though. I'm super stoked. I finally have it loaded onto my Google TV with Chromecast. So now all I got to do to play is just turn my TV on, and I can even use the voice assistant on my little remote to be like, play The Division 2. And it'll play The Division 2 on Stadia.
It's pretty tight.
So
very cool.
It's all really cool. Without any console or anything, it just works. And I haven't had any issues with lag or anything like that. It runs super well. So yeah, great. Yeah, I'm doing great.
That's dope,
everything's
dude.
good. Yeah.
That's dope.
And how do you like the Stadia controller? I saw that you got
Ooh,
one.
yeah. So I did get the Stadia controller. Whoop whoop. And
nice.
Wasabi.
The wasabi colorway, the green. So I was really skeptical going into it. A lot of it because I'm so used to an Xbox button layout where they have the diagonal joysticks as opposed to the PlayStation layout. Well, the Stadia controller is sort of a mixture of both. It looks sort of like an Xbox controller, but it has the horizontal side-by-side joysticks. And honestly, like first of all, I've gotten used to it. I got used to it really quickly. So that wasn't a problem. It feels really high quality. There's like this really cool texture on the back, and the color looks really cool. So it definitely feels like a quality controller. It is. So the big kicker with a Stadia controller is that it connects via Wi-Fi to the Stadia server. So it's not a Bluetooth. It connects straight to Wi-Fi. So it feels great. I mean, it doesn't, I don't notice any latency or anything with the connection. So I would say if you're a hardcore Stadia user, I would recommend. I mean, the thing is it retails for $70. Thankfully, they have a deal right now though, to where like if you recommend like 3 people, this is why I was spamming you guys on Slack.
Yeah.
I was like, if I get 3 people to sign up, you can cancel it tomorrow. But if I just get 3 people to sign up, I get 50% off on a Stadia controller. So thankfully, I have great friends and
Nice.
And
Well, I wasn't one of them, so I failed you.
I know. Well, you already signed up, so it made sense. But I hope that with xCloud and everything, I'm curious to see if Xbox goes to some sort of Wi-Fi controller, if they want to do their controllers that way. I don't know if that's the thing, but yeah, it's great. I love it. It's a great experience.
Nice. And that other voice that you all heard, the man who was missing from last week's episode, Adam Vogt. Dude, you were gone from the last episode. You're here. The audience can't hear this. Actually, I might implement it into the audio, but they have a new thing where you can add audio.
That is you, Rob. That's you. I assumed just off the bat that was Austin.
No.
Very nice. I feel very welcomed back.
Wow, there you go, dude.
Wow, that's great.
So Riverside just added this thing where you can start. You can upload your own audio stuff, and so they have just their own little default. So drum roll, clapping, cheering has been one of them. But you're missing from the last episode. It's nice to have you here. I do have a question for you. So I don't know if you saw, there's rumors circulating today about this Ghost of Tsushima expansion that is coming out set for this year, the end of this year. And they say it's an expansion almost to the same degree as Miles Morales. So not a full-fledged game, a bit smaller, but coming out this year. Have you heard about this?
No.
This
sounds great. This all sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I think what supposedly, I don't know where this name came from, but the rumors is that it's called Ghost of Ishima, and
Ooh.
it's another island that's part of the archipelago from Japan, and you would just be playing in that small area. No one knows if you'd be playing as what is his name, the main character.
Don't know.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Google.
Why did I want to say Ryu? It's not Ryu.
No, it's not.
That's Street.
For some reason, I went to Kazuto, and I don't even remember where I know that name from.
Yeah.
Jin Sakai.
There we go,
Oh,
Jin Sakai.
Kazuto Kirigawa. Oh, that's shorter online. That's what that is.
Oh, there you
Took
go.
me
There
a
you go.
minute.
So people don't know if you're gonna be playing as him or you be playing as somebody else, but this is a rumor that is gonna be announced within a state of play that should be happening within the next coming weeks.
Yeah.
Coming this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that sounds cool in theory. I mean, I just don't know anything about it. I would say it's just, I'd want to know like what the story setup is. Big part of why Tsushima is so great is just the character development and like the character relationships and this like grand story that's kind of tying all that together. Like it's more of a game about Jin and his uncle than it is about just straight up Mongols, to me at least.
Right.
Like to me that's
Right.
one of the greater points of it. So like there needs to be, I guess, a good premise to it, which I assume they have one. It's just like without knowing it, it's hard to be hyped. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, optimistic if that's real. I assume they have a good premise, and it'd be cool. I mean, you could play as Jin again. You could play as Yuna. That'd be really cool too, or someone different. Anything goes, I guess.
I'm a little wary about it just because of the fact that we just got Ghost of Tsushima, and then on top of that, within a couple months later, we got that multiplayer mode. I just don't know how they had so much time to make another expansion, unless, and this is what kind of makes me a little bit, because I'm a little upset with PlayStation right now. Maybe a state of play, if they really came strong, would change my mind. But if they did this, because right now we don't even know if Horizon's coming out this year, and there's a good chance it can get delayed because they still are not giving it a window. They're just like holiday 2021, and that's it. It would be strange if they got this expansion out, because then what that means is the whole team working on Tsushima, it's almost as if they're like, hey, Horizon's not done yet, which they probably knew the moment that they announced it, probably way before that. And so they're like, hey, can we get you to start working on just a smaller expansion, take you away from actually working on Ghost of Tsushima 2, work on this small expansion in a new island, and then so we can get this out quicker, so we can just feed the players just a bit to hold them over till the next big thing. And then once you're done with that expansion, all right, now you can go away for who knows how long, 5 years, for Ghost of Tsushima 2.
That's the pessimistic way to look at it. I'm very upset with Sony right now because they're very business minded right now, and they're not showing a lot of fan love or fan service. There's also the version of the story where Sucker Punch has another story they want to tell that's a smaller story, and they pitched it, and then it got greenlit, and there's that story too, because that's also not across the board, but with the studios that it is showing favor to, the Sony gives a lot of leeway to their first party studios that
absolutely
they favor. So with how well Ghost of Tsushima did, they're probably like, sure, do you want to do that? Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it, because I obviously we hear stories about Naughty Dog kind of getting their way in a lot of senses of the word,
because they're the favorite child.
But you hear about Ben's studio not being that, and it's like Days Gone just didn't perform as well, and so that there's been a lot of, I don't know, churn with that studio. But I mean, I assume Sucker Punch is kind of seen very favorably right now, and so I would assume that this is their call, not Sony's.
Yeah. And not to be on this
Mm,
topic too long, because it can literally become an entire bigger topic. But what I see from this is probably some of the few remaining actions that Sean Layden probably put into place. We did see when he left, one of the biggest things that he was talking about was that we need more smaller games more often. And
mm,
and there's been a lot of talk is that maybe one of the reasons why he left was because there was an odds in regards to thought process between the heads. And so there could be a good chance that Miles Morales was a child from Sean Layden being like, let's make a smaller game more often, and then the same thing to Sucker Punch, let's make a smaller game more often. So then they started making on one as they were alongside making the other one. So that could be what's going on, but we can continue going along about everything regarding PlayStation. But today, guys, we're gonna be talking about everything E3. And talking about some of
Woo.
the biggest things that we saw and what stood out to us. But before we get into that, I want to go into a little bit of housekeeping. First things first, by the time that this episode airs, I will have a video up on the channel. It's an interview with Chandler Wood. He's the editor in chief at PlayStation Lifestyle. And I'm going to be going over everything regarding this whole Blue Box Game Studios conspiracy and the release of their app, which happens on the Friday, the day after this recording. And so he's going to be on the channel. So if you're listening to this, you're watching this, well, when you're done with this, head on over to the channel and go check out that interview I'm going to have with him so that we can see everything while I pick his mind about everything going on with Blue Box and Hideo Kojima and everything around that. So go check the
cool.
channel for that. And then on top of that, last bit of housekeeping, I do want to say, guys, it does mean a lot to us whenever we get a review. And
Mm,
today, I don't know why I just was. I think I was listening to because I listen to podcasts on the daily, and
yeah.
somebody mentioned on there about reviews and how important it is. And I don't think I often mention that too much on our podcast, but I thought to myself, I don't use Apple Podcasts. I use Spotify now. That's like my big thing
Mm,
because they keep tracks of all my stats, and I love that stuff. And so I was
mm.
like, let me re-download the Apple Podcast app and see if someone left a review. And to my surprise, we got a
Wow.
review on Apple Podcasts. This was back on May 7th, but I do want to read it real quick. This is from Mr. Irrelevant, and he says, I like video games, but I'm not someone who keeps up with the industry / breaking news, and this pod does a great job of condensing all that information into relevant info that keeps me informed. And he left us a 5-star
Wow.
review. So guys, I sent that to the two guys here earlier today, but it literally put a smile on my face because I that means a lot. We all put in a lot of work when it comes
Does.
to doing this and searching up and coming up with our ideas and things and putting them in the show notes. It takes time out of our day so we can do that. So I really appreciate that review that Mr. Relevant said. And if you guys can go on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast service you use and you can rate us, please do, because that just
Do
boosts
it.
us up into the search bar and onto certain categories of genres much easier so people can find us easier. So I just
Mm,
wanted to let that be out there. And real quick, going through the rigmarole, this is the XP Podcast, your bi-weekly video game podcast where we just talk all things regarding it, bringing our topics to the table. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, topics, corrections, let us know in the comments section of the video, or you can tweet at us at either Twitter at ambitiouscasual.com, or you can email us at xppodcast at ambitiouscasual.com. Utilize the timestamps below so that we can jump to the things that you guys want to listen to. But if you don't, I'm telling you right now, you're missing out on some good stuff. Now, jumping straight into topic of the show. Guys, we just had E3 for the first time in over 2 years. It skipped last year. Last year we had the Summer Game Fest that was put on by Jeff Keighley. This year we also had Summer Game Fest along with actual E3 coming back in a more digital fashion. And to me, I was full of energy. I love it. Like I was at home, I was working, and so I wasn't able to cover everything. So those who are listening or watching, if you go to the Ambitious Casual YouTube channel, I do have a number of videos that went over a couple things that I thought is highlights for a lot of the conferences. But I was super excited. I watched almost every conference. I didn't get every single one of them. I kind of missed the ones that everyone was by the end of them were like, these were not worth watching at all. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get those. But I kind of asked the guys, hey, what are about 4 to 5 things that stood out to you? Highlights from E3. And I'm going to start with Adam. Adam, I don't know where you were at in regards to everything E3? Were you kind of keeping up with everything, either watching them, or were you keeping up to it via online and YouTube and that kind of stuff?
It was a mix. So I definitely watched Nintendo's showcase live. I caught some of Xbox. No, I caught some of Summer Game Fest and Day of the Devs live. I think I caught some of Xbox Live, but then I totally skipped Square Enix and Ubisoft and just caught recaps on those, and that seems like that was the right call. And then, of course, I watched the majority of Devolver Digital's presentation because that's always fantastic. And so I was kind of
Always
in and
great.
out. I was also like traveling for work, so it was a weird
Oh, yeah.
situation for me. I literally like watched the Nintendo Direct eating lunch with like two of my coworkers that I met in person
Nice.
for the first time. I'm like, yeah, let's
Nice.
let's do this.
Hi.
Sweet.
So yeah. So I have a question. I know we're going to
Yeah.
talk about some of our most hyped games. Are we
Yeah.
going to start with our least hyped games or with our most hyped games?
Let's go with let's leave the best for last.
Okay.
So obviously, if we have anything to contribute to the conversation, we could just jump in while you're speaking, just completely interrupt Adam whenever we want to, and so we can just
Sweet.
put in our 2 cents, you know?
Well,
love
we'll
it.
rotate so then I can everyone gets a even deal out. If we all
Yeah,
play
there we
nice,
go.
it'll work fine.
There you go.
So then my least hyped one. This was a very interesting one. So this one is called Demon
And
Throttle.
I want to clarify real quick. I do want to clarify real quick. This is your least hyped out of your most 5 hyped.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
that way people are not like,
Yeah.
why are you taking the time by your day to just talk about the one that you don't like a lot? So
That is a great clarification. Thank you for doing that. So of the 5 I decided to talk about today, because some of my other hyped games are being discussed by other co-hosts here.
oh, there we go. No.
Of my top 5, the least hyped one is called a game called Demon Throttle.
Okay.
So this came
Hmm.
out of let me double check. So this came out of Devolver Digital's showcase, and I just want to make sure I get the name
And
right.
how was that?
So
How was that showcase, dude? They always
love-
they
I-
always
I-
seem to knock it out, man.
I love it. They have a very in your face approach to, hey, let's make a very produced video that's fantastical in ways, and
Yes,
is a huge commentary always on like the current state of like video games marketing in a lot of ways. So they've done some very interesting stuff, but then they typically have some of my favorite games every year. They publish a lot of indie games, and they tend to fund and publish a lot of interesting ideas. They're like, that's an interesting idea. We think that you are passionate about it, and it sounds like it'll be fun based off your pitch, or at least it sounds like it'll be interesting based off your pitch.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of
Yeah.
strange but incredible indies make their way through Devolver Digital. So
They have
this
a great
one
eye.
definitely falls in that category.
Yeah.
So this game is called Demon Throttle, and just reading off. So I kind of summed up. It's a retro arcade style top-down action game that is only getting a limited physical release.
That's awesome, dude.
There's
That's
no
cool.
digital listings for this game. Will be
I
no
love it.
digital listings for this game at all. And it's I can't remember what. It's not one of my typical limited release companies I go through. It's not Limited Run or I Am 8-Bit, but it's another
think
one. And so
Yeah.
you
Wow.
better pre-order if you want it. But
Dang.
it's definitely
a
very
novelty.
action arcadey, and it looks really cool in my
Wow.
mind. But yeah, I think developed by Doinksoft. So,
Yeah.
Love
but anyway,
that.
sorry, I'm going to read it off real quick. Just the pitch that they have for this game is they say that Demon Throttle tells the story of a beautiful vampiress and dusty gunslinger on a quest for vengeance against a demon that stole her mystical chalices and slept with his estranged wife. Now the two unlikely companions must blast their way through 4 monstrous generals and their wicked domains to lift the demon's curse and exact their revenge. So I believe it's also
Nice.
like couch co-op, so 2-player
Nice.
kind of thing, if you want
Nice.
to be that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
the the way that this works is that it is off of specialreservegames.com.
yes,
So that's where you buy it. It is a limited release, like Adam said. you can get two kinds. You can either just get the actual game box, that's your typical Switch box, or you can get the reserve one, which it comes in a special reserve box, sequentially numbered. I think there's like only 5,000 of them, and they will be shipping in 2022. So you can go buy them right now. So they'll be shipping next year. But I love that, dude. Because no big company would do that, because it's not business mind oriented. But Devolver Digital is like, let's just do it. It's fun.
But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I
love it.
I mean, it's one of those things where even like if I'm like kind of iffy on the gameplay, even if I end up being iffy on the gameplay, from what I've seen, it looks like it'd be good. But even if I didn't end up loving it, I would be totally fine. Like, look, I own this game that only got a physical release in the year 2022. And there's only so many of them out there. And look at it. I have it.
I can
right
just see
next
us
to my copy of Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
I can see you in like 2050 being like, yo, I had the limited release of this game. I got it, Sonny.
Demon Throttle.
Oh my gosh.
Great game. You're like in a VR world, like nothing's real.
It'll be
you're just talking to NPCs.
That'll totally be me.
Yeah. Me too.
What I'll have done by that point when we're all living in this VR world is you'll be able to, in the VR world, control a physical robot that I have set up that plays the physical game.
There we go.
And that's the only way to play it.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, going on next. I guess what we'll do is we'll just jump to person to the next topics. Austin, we're going to start with you next. What is your least hyped out of your top hyped games that you saw at E3?
Man, that's hard. I'm really hyped about all of them, and I put 4 games.
They are hyped
total. I guess
you don't have to do the way Adam did. You can just do it however you want.
No, I want to stick to it. All right. Number 4 out of 4, I would say. I guess Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I'm really stoked for this game, and obviously because like it's like Stadia's claimed that it's coming to Stadia, and and I'm also really psyched about this game because this is the game that inspired Disney to go forth with a Star Wars open world Star Wars game. They saw how this game functioned, how it worked, and they were like, this is awesome. We need to make a Star Wars game just like this. So I'm excited for what this game has set up for the future. For the game itself, I don't know what to expect. I mean, the Avatar, I loved it when it came out. I think the universe is beautiful. I think the game's going to be beautiful. I believe it said it was a first-person game. Hoping I can switch to third person. I don't know. I just feel like in Pandora, like I want to see it all. I want to see my character. Like I feel like in a game like this, I don't know. I feel like you should be able to switch around. But hey, maybe they'll make the first person thing really immersive and really cool. So who knows? But yeah, I think it'll be I think it'll be a cool game. I'm excited to try it out and see how it goes.
So what exactly does Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora have to do with the Star Wars game?
Same.
Right. So same creators. It's Massive Entertainment, which is an Ubisoft studio, and essentially, what happened was Disney saw what they were doing with Avatar, what Massive was doing with Avatar, and all of that. And they were like, this looks incredible. We need to do the same thing with a Star Wars video game. Thus spawned the announcement of the open world Star Wars video game coming out in a couple of years. So basically, playing this Avatar game is going to show us a lot about what the future Star Wars open world game is going to be. I saw in some article, I can't remember where it was, but they said that there's going to be like this whole new technology with the NPCs where they're going to be very complex and like even more immersive than the NPCs they have in games and open world games today. So I don't even know. I don't know what that means, but there's a lot of unknown with it. But
That is exciting.
it'll
Yeah.
be. I think it's exciting.
So question for you,
it'll be pretty
Austin. I think
groundbreaking.
before all this, I think the assumption was definitely that this would be the Star Wars game would be some kind of squad-based shooter game, possibly Bad Batch. Does the Avatar thing change that?
Real quick, are you asking that question because Massive Games is known for the Division,
Yeah.
which is a very co-op based kind of game, shooter, tactical.
Mm.
So yeah, I just want to add that
Yeah.
about your question, Adam, because that does put that into perspective.
Thank you.
Totally. Yeah. No. Absolutely. I don't really know. They haven't really said much about it. As far as like squad based, I'm not sure. To be honest, I think that'd be really cool. I've been playing Division 2 recently, and thinking of that sort of in a Star Wars realm would be really dope. Easily matching up with friends and sort of that third person over the shoulder view. Oh, my cat. There's my cat. All right. So I think I think it could be something similar to Division. Maybe you're a group of bounty hunters or a group of rogue clones, like we're seeing in Bad Batch right now, or whatever it may be. Kind of the over the shoulder third person view. I don't know, honestly, but that very well could be what we see. That kind of perspective. Or it could be more similar to the early Assassin's Creed games, where it's a little more single player driven, a little more reactionary as far as combat goes. Gentle pushes through the crowd, more parkour, stuff like that. I personally would like to see that. But since it is massive, since they've done Division, it could be more like a Division type game. So we'll see. Either way, it's Star Wars. Nice. I'm there. I'm sold. Like a pre-order, no doubt in my mind. So
I'm excited. I feel like
That's
I
why
have
I'm
the same
excited for
sentiment as
Avatar.
you, because everything that you're saying, the fact that Disney saw what they're doing with Avatar and said, this looks good. Let's trust you with our other big IP. That actually makes me more excited for the Star Wars game than it does for Avatar itself. So
yeah.
So I guess it's almost like we have to get this Avatar game so that way we can get the Star Wars game. So that's cool. I will try it out if I have the means at the time to get the game. Like, unless there's something else bigger happening around it, I might give it a try. Avatar is known for being this humongous world with just a lot of things going on. Again, the movie franchise has been a bit of a mess, but I don't know, and we'll see what they can pull off in regards to this game. So
I know.
Going into my list, I'm not a savage like Adam. All right. So all my games mean just the same with each other. So I will just pull one. I'm just gonna pull one out and I'm just gonna talk about it. None is less than the other. Right. I respect all these games. I will start with this one, and I know that Austin will have something to say about this, but I'm gonna start with Starfield. I want to make this clear from the beginning. I've never been a fan of Bethesda Game Studios' work. Never been a fan. They're known for Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. I've hated those games. And let me not say hate. I dislike them. Hate is a very strong word. I dislike those games. And that comes from a family where my other brothers, they all love those games. They're the biggest fans. Like, my brother has a PS3 because he can play his Fallout 3 save profile on that PS3. And so they love Fallout. But to me, I never liked them. There was a lot of jank. They never looked good, and I never thought they had tight gameplay. And I think by the time Fallout 4 came out, which is around the same time when The Witcher 3 came out, it was apparent that they completely needed to overhaul the creation engine. There's no way that a studio that was as big as Bethesda, I would have to say at the time, much bigger than CD Projekt Red, was making a game that was so behind from their competitor being CD Projekt Red with The Witcher.
Yeah.
With The Witcher 3 looking light years ahead of it. And so with that, I think it was apparent that everyone knew they had to update their engine. And honestly, they did with this new game. With a couple of, with a couple trippings of Fallout 76 not working out for them. I think it was like a double hitter. Both Fallout 4, it did well, but with Fallout 4 not getting as great reception as they would have liked it to, and Fallout 76 not getting any good reception at all from the beginning, I think it was apparent they're like, we need to change this. And so I think that's very apparent though with the small teaser that we got for Starfield. And I'll be honest, when the moment that they started it, and again, this E3 was very different than any other. There wasn't a crowd behind what they were saying that was completely hyping up everything. I wasn't watching any other creators out there so I can, react with their reactions at the same time. I was just purely watching the stream on its own. And so I honestly, when they started the entire Xbox showcase with Starfield, one, that is a very strong sign that they're trying to put out. This is our big game. And with that, everything that they showed, I think looked so much better, in my opinion. The teaser was an in-game teaser within the engine. So everything that you're seeing is what the game would look like within the engine of what they're making. And I will have to say what I saw already looked so much more polished compared to Fallout 76, compared to Fallout 4. It just looked cleaner. And I think the biggest thing to me was, and I know it's just a small glimpse, but we see a glimpse of the astronaut's face on through his visor. And already just by the character model of his face that we saw, I already was like, that face looks 1,000 times better than any of the faces that they've done in Fallout before. Like, it just has more detail. It looks more lifelike. It doesn't have this jankiness to it. And so I'm very excited about it. And kind of going off of what Austin wrote, I think some of the keywords that they're saying is actually really, really cool. Like Skyrim in space, which again, I'm not a big Skyrim fan, but I know what that means. Open world in space. To me, what I'm thinking is No Man's Sky. I'm a huge No Man's Sky fan. I love No Man's Sky. It's it's not underrated anymore. I think it has the right amount of love now than it had at the beginning, which also had a very rough patch at the beginning. But No Man's Sky in space, and a Han Solo sim. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
And so again, we don't know much. I'm gonna admit that we don't know much, but I am still super excited to see what they have in store, because this truly feels like a team that kind of got knocked down 2 times, and they're like, okay, we're coming in strong this time. All right. Todd Howard is like, well, this is our game. We're gonna come in strong. This is purely next gen. They never mentioned anything about it being cross gen. They literally said this is a next gen console game. That's what Xbox said. And so I'm very excited about this. Austin, what are your thoughts in regards to Starfield?
I honestly, I'm kind of I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I actually don't. I personally haven't been a massive fan of Skyrim and those types of games. I have enjoyed Elder Scrolls Online lately. For some reason, it seems just a little bit smoother, cleaner. But I didn't have an awesome experience with Skyrim. But looking at this game just looks like it's leagues above everything else. I think my problem is just I'm so the game has to look and feel really good. And the slow attack movements of Skyrim and all that stuff was just it would get old for me. And I'm like, I know that's not the point. This game isn't really about combat. It's about exploration, leveling, looting, all of that stuff. But I'm someone who just loves the action. So I'm hoping with Starfield we get that same sort of open world exploration, looting feel, but with slightly better combat. I'm excited to see it. It looks incredible, and I'm definitely going to look into pre-ordering it for sure. So we'll see. We'll see.
And dude, for day one on Xbox Game Pass, that's crazy. That's mind blowing, dude.
Feels spoiled.
This could be one of the biggest games of the time. We don't know yet. I know that there was so much promise with Cyberpunk. I think everyone learns from that. So we're not really seeing much about the actual gameplay yet. And what I do like about the way how Bethesda does do some things, like when Fallout 4 was first announced, it literally came out 3 months or 4 months later. And so I like that a lot more, because then you're kind of keeping everything tight, close to your chest. So I'm really excited. The fact that this is day one Xbox Game Pass game, unbelievable. Adam, do you have anything to say in regards to Starfield?
Pretty cool.
I think I currently have 0 hype for this game.
Oh, but nice.
So I don't want to rain on y'all's parade right now,
All
but
right.
No,
All
dude,
right.
no, dude. Be honest. Be honest.
we
Hey,
literally.
I like the contrasting opinion.
I mean, all we have is like a inkling of a setting, so like semi real world, early era of human space exploration. Um, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we know. And to me,
Yeah.
like, that's not a setting that gets me excited. And so
No,
I
okay.
literally have nothing about
Mm,
there's nothing about this game that is known that I can
fair
be
enough.
excited about because
Absolutely.
I don't know.
That's true.
Because
It's true.
Fallout does fall flat for me in a lot of ways, or at least 4 did, which is, the only one I've played. And even Skyrim, even though I love Skyrim so much at the time and have gone back and played it so much, it's just like a game that doesn't hold my attention. And so to to me, my
Yeah.
reaction is this setting seems like it's going to be very empty. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they prove me wrong on that.
Mhm.
But if there's empty and it's Skyrim in
Yeah.
space and Skyrim already can't hold my
Could get lonely.
attention, then it's like I literally, until they show more, have nothing that I'm
Right.
excited about for this game.
Right. And what's funny is everything that you said, I agree with
Totally.
you. I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%. So I think
Yeah, I know. That's totally
yeah, and
other
I
side
think
of
that's
the
the big
coin.
thing is the reason why I put it on my list is the fact that I'm actually it has piqued my interest so much that from a studio that I never really liked their games, and so really excited to see what they have in store. But Adam,
Mhm.
what's the next game that you want to talk about that stood out to you on at E3?
I think I'll be pretty quick with this one, just because I still don't know enough about it. It's so weird. This game's called Inscription, also
Yes, dude.
from Devolver
Huh.
Digital Showcase, and it looks weird.
Yes, it
So
does, dude.
it's I guess the simple conceit seems to be that
Does.
it's a kind of a deck building roguelike game,
Yes.
like you might think of Slay the Spire is. But then it's like a game in a game. So you're playing that game inside this escape room survival horror game, which
Yes.
looks super trippy.
Yes.
And typically I really don't like survival horror
Wow,
games,
yeah.
but usually that's because it's like if there's like this sense that I can like stay where I'm at and nothing bad happen, or it's like if I tell my character to walk out there and there's something there and I have to face it, then it's just like I'd rather just not and I'll go play something else. But how this game is set up feels like, there's, that sense of incoming dread and you don't know what's going to happen, but it's like there's nothing you can do to not encounter it. Like it's like not something you can like go out of your way to avoid, or like, perfectly min
Mhm.
max having enough ammo to take everything down. It's like Resident Evil would be.
Right.
So I'm very intrigued. So this might be the like one survival horror game I ever play and like, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Um,
I did make a video on this. It's on the channel. You can go check it out. It was kind of I picked
Cool.
3 games from the Devolver Digital Showcase that stood out to me. This was one of them, and it does pique my interest a lot. There's something about it. The fact that one, like you said, it is a roguelike kind of card build, deck building kind of game. But within that teaser, they also showed some weird clips. Like it would show the board that you're playing the cards. This mysterious person on the other side that looked horrifying, just like you're playing against them, and then it would be cutting into actual like real life like steady cam footage of real life, and then it'll cut into like a 8-bit style game, and then it was cutting into like a some sort of PlayStation 1 looking kind of game, and then back into the
Yeah.
card game. And I was like,
yeah.
what is going on here? And
That's trippy, man.
that kind of stuff. I was like, I'm locked
That's
in.
trippy.
Let's go, boys. I'm ready to jump in.
Yeah, like in the description, they kind of hint at that there's going to be like things on the playing cards that help you, like hints on the playing cards that help you solve the puzzles in the puzzle room. And so I
Yes.
imagine like kind of those weird segments are probably different puzzles in the game, or in the room that you're trying to escape out of.
Interesting.
Um, so
Mhm.
man,
Got
I
it.
don't know. It
Yeah.
seems really cool. Like I said, this is one of the things I love about Devolver Digital so much is, they publish
That
these
seems
games and bring
awesome.
them to light, and they have a
Right.
for not being a AAA publisher or anything like that, they have a pretty wide audience that
Right.
these games make it out to. So
Right. Austin, what is the game that you what's another game that you want to talk about in regards to the list that you have? I
Yeah.
know we kind of already touched on Avatar and Starfield. Is there which one do you want to go to next?
I want to talk about Redfall. So this came from
Let's
the
go.
the Xbox. This is an Xbox Microsoft exclusive game, and I believe it's going to be day one on the Game Pass as well.
Yes.
But this trailer really intrigued me. I love the humor of it. I love the style. Again, cinematic. I don't think we got any gameplay. It wasn't any gameplay stuff, but I just the humor of it all. I put in here. I put 4-person co-op Stranger Things aesthetic vampire Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
it looks like a horde. What do they call them? It looks like a horde game where you're just sifting through tons of and this is vampires. So the vampire is the enemy, but you're a group of like 4 people survivors, and it just looked really cool. All of it, I loved it all. It got me really excited. Honestly, I think Arcane Studios, they're the people doing it. But the main thing, the reason why I said Stranger Things aesthetic, because like the title, like when the Redfall title showed up, it was that similar sort of like grainy retro 80s style look.
Totally.
So I'm hoping
Totally.
we get that throughout the game because it looked really cool. I'm all about crazy first person shooter. It'd be great if I could, get a group of people to play. I think it'd be, and each character of course has their own unique abilities, I'm sure. And I'm excited to see this game. I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about everything regarding I think everything that's interesting about Redfall is the fact that for me, we saw like, okay, so this was at the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Redfall is very much so a Bethesda game. And I think what's interesting is that we're seeing a lot lately how big these studios are starting to become. And how much they're complicated these studios are becoming. We saw with Insomniac that they literally made Spider-Man, went straight into doing Miles Morales, and then also Ratchet & Clank so quickly within a good couple of years. We're starting to see that with rumors of Sucker Punch doing that with possibly Ghost of Tsushima. And then we're seeing this again with Arcane Studios, where this year, by the end of the year, I think in October, we're getting Deathloop, which is an Arcane Studios game. And then Redfall is also an Arcane Studios game that is coming out set for summer 2022, which is a good chance it can get delayed, which honestly, that might happen. But the fact that we're seeing a lot of these studios being utilized and growing, and it's very interesting. Another one is Obsidian. I know Obsidian right now is working on like 5 games at one time. I just don't understand how they do that. And so I love Arcane. Arcane is they're very good at the games that they make. They're known for Dishonored series, and I love that franchise. It is awesome. And to see them kind of, they were kind of utilizing the talent that they used in Dishonored, and they were kind of transitioning that into Deathloop, which is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And then I'm kind of excited to see how they kind of turn the page and do something different, which is a 4-player co-op game, which, like Austin said, very much so with the very aesthetic of a Stranger Things kind of thing, and is with vampires. And you can play the game by yourself, 1 player, or you can play with friends if you want to. We didn't see any gameplay. It was a CGI. So for me personally, I can't get super excited about that. Like, this wasn't really even in-game engine, but overall, I think just the fact that the small amount that we saw with their vision through the CGI trailer made me excited. So, Adam, do you have anything to say in regards to Redfall, or?
I don't. I didn't really get to. I don't think I really saw that one. Or at least kind of had it on the background, so I don't
Yeah,
really know
yeah.
too much about it.
Cool. Yeah, it actually looks really, really cool. Going into mine, the next one I'm going to talk about is Death Stranding Director's Cut. The reason why I want to talk about this is, and I don't want to go too much because this can be way too long. So far this is what I have. Director's Cut. There's not much was said about the director's cut. What I do know and what was said is that Jeff Keighley made it clear after the little teaser that we got that we were going to see more in depth of what the director's cut entails within a few weeks. And that was not too long ago. That was a week ago. And so with him saying that, and what's interesting is I didn't see much people say this. Only a few people picked up on that. But to me, I was like, okay, the Jeff Keighley practically just say, we're going to get a state of play soon. That's practically what he was saying. And so that is going to be happening soon. We didn't get to see much of what that entailed, but I do have this teaser is completely out of this world for a multitude of reasons. One, I'm going crazy over here, guys. One, Death Stranding though it was made by Hideo Kojima, it is owned by Sony. Sony owns the IP.
Yeah.
And so we did not see amazing sales with Death Stranding. It did well, but it wasn't probably the sales that they were looking for because they never talked about the sales. And so it went from there to PC. And then now I can picture the director's cut being their PS5 port onto, trying to sell it again, like one more chance, so that way they can get more sales out of it. But this is the big thing. This was not just a regular teaser, just teasing the fact that we're getting another expanded version of the game for the PS5. This teaser had Metal Gear Solid written all over it. Metal Gear Solid is not owned by Kojima, unfortunately. He created it, but he doesn't own the IP. And it's not owned by Sony. It is owned by Konami. Konami is the company that Kojima left after bad blood happened between the both of them. He left, Sony scooped him up automatically, and then he created Konami Productions. So with all that put together,
he created he didn't create
Kojima Productions.
Konami.
Kojima Productions.
There you go.
Not Konami Productions. Thank you, Adam. You saved me. You saved me from the complete crazy people on the internet. So the thing is this. The game, everything about it was like you cannot miss it. Metal Gear was written all over it. The way that the entire area that we saw within the warehouse, the way it was set up, was made for sneaking around. The way that the characters were moving around, and this sounds dumb, okay? But the way that they were patrolling in certain ways, Metal Gear. The way that the camera was zooming in on a certain character's face, that move of zooming in on the enemy face, the way that it was, that's a Metal Gear shot. Like that's what Kojima did in Metal Gear. We see Sam Porter Bridges look, there's a vent, and you see the rat go into the vent. That is a straight call out from Metal Gear Solid 1, because when you were in the vents, there was rats always in the vents crawling around. So either that means one, Sam can now go through vents. Sam can go through the vents to sneak around the guards. And that was never gameplay that you can do inside of Death Stranding. So that's brand new. And to top it all off, he looks and there's a box. The box is the big symbol of Metal Gear. He gets the box, he dumps the box out. There's oranges. The oranges, that is a symbol call out to Metal Gear Solid 2, because in Metal Gear Solid 2, when you shot the box, there was oranges in the box. Sam Porter gets inside the box, obviously. So this is all Metal Gear. So what does this mean? What does all this mean?
Well,
and to top it all off, Adam, I'm going to let you talk. But let me finish this. And to top it all off, there is straight up Metal Gear music in this teaser. There's Metal Gear sounds and there's Metal Gear music. Who owns that? Konami. If you put that in here, you have to either be just crazy and get ready for a lawsuit from Konami, or Konami had to sign off and say, that's okay, you can do that. And why would they say that? Because either Sony is trying to let us all know that, one, hey, you can buy Death Stranding Director's Cut. It's going to be coming out on the PS5, completely upgraded, enhanced for the PS5. Two, we're also going to let you all know that we also have a good relationship going on right now with our boys over in Konami. And you best believe that we're going to be getting Metal Gear Solid 1 remastered by Blue Point Games, who just remastered Demon's Souls, ready for you all. So
for sure.
This is all just conspiracy. I mean, this is so much just coming from just a small teaser. But that teaser had so much to say. It's mind blowing. It's so mind blowing. So Adam, please go. I know you've been trying to butt in so much.
No, it's totally fine. I just like to think that it all leads up, and then he gets in the box and then realizes he doesn't fit right, and then gets out. And then that's like, Kojima's way of like being like, yeah, this would have been fun, but this isn't how it's going to happen. Right. But you hit the nail on the head. Like, Blue Point remaking MGS1, like, makes a lot of sense. And this could even be, I mean, if we're going to theorize and get the cork board and like do the red string around stuff, it's
Yeah,
like this could just be like Kojima's way of saying like he's involved in it, right?
yeah.
He's helping out with it. So I mean, yeah, it's fun time. It's fun to
Yeah.
tease people
I love this stuff.
like with
I
this
love this
stuff, but
stuff.
then if you never ever deliver on that kind of
Exactly.
stuff, then it's just frustrating.
Exactly. And I think my last thing is, how does this all fit into Death Stranding? I don't think they're just going to release the game the way it was, just straight for the PS5. They're calling it a director's cut for a reason. Like, the thing is, the game was made by Kojima, so it already was his cut of the game. It's just a fancy name to say they're re-releasing it, and I think they're going to be adding some small levels inside of it. I know inside there was, after Metal Gear Solid 1 came out, there was a side game called Metal Gear Solid VR Missions. And what it was just a lot of mini games of you as Snake just trying to sneak around the guards. And that's what the entire game was. And you had to just get the best score in the game. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's probably doing with this. It's just going to be a bunch of mini games just trying to sneak around the guards inside of Death Stranding. So, anyways, that's everything I have to say in regards to Death Stranding's director's cut. Adam, what do you want to talk about next?
So the next game I was going to bring up, because no one else is apparently, is Elden Ring, of
Yes,
course.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just
Exactly. Yeah.
you weren't going to be the one to do it. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So I did want to talk about Elden Ring. It should be really exciting. People, of course, have been very hyped for this game for a while, with it just being like the next, From Software Souls, Soulsborne game that they're
Absolutely.
making, and people love those games. Well, there's a hardcore fan base for those games, and
Absolutely.
so I'm kind of among them a little bit. I love Dark Souls 1. I tried 3 and kind of hadn't really picked up speed on it, but I actually recently started playing Bloodborne, and this is like the fastest like Souls game has hooked me. The first like hour or whatever was like the normal slog, but then once you start getting the feel for it, and that game
Oh
changes the
yeah.
feel so much. And so
Oh yeah.
what I'm actually most excited about now is to see if Elden Ring changes that feel again.
Mm,
And I specifically mean in terms of like combat and kind of like how you do things, I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1 definitely kind of has like its meta, but and Bloodborne just flows so different. Like Dark Souls, I think you can be a lot slower, methodical. You have a shield. Bloodborne, no shield. You can't block
Yeah.
anything, so it's
Yeah.
literally all dodging or interrupting with
Parry.
like with your, well, yeah, I guess you kind of would consider that a parry with the gunshots
Yeah.
um and whatnot. So and it just moves so much faster, and
Oh yeah.
that's really, I've really enjoyed that. Although I was a big shield user in Dark Souls 1, so it's been an adjustment. um but yeah, just to see what Elden Ring becomes. I wasn't at first very thrilled about the idea of it being an open world game, but the more and more I've thought about it, is that From Software has struggled to quite hit the world design, I guess world slash
Mm,
level design, and combined that Dark Souls 1 did. Demon Souls kind of did this one thing, Dark Souls straight away from it, and then Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 all went back to what Demon Souls was doing before, and I just don't understand
right.
why. And so I think this is maybe the way that they kind of get back into a very overlapping world, greater world,
Yeah.
opposed to kind of having the independent sections that are the overlapping stuff. But maybe we'll see. I mean, plus the fact that it's all set on, based on world lore that is written by George R. R. Martin is really cool
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's a good match, just the kind of stuff and lore that comes from, I know for sure Dark Souls, and I imagine Bloodborne as well. Just being able to have someone who kind of, I would say he has a knack for like writing world backstory and world events. I think that's something that does make Game of Thrones really cool, and just like the unexpected things that happen. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. It looks cool. I like the trailer. It looks
Yeah.
very much like, Dark Souls, but hopefully
Totally.
they've, evolved the gameplay even more.
Totally. Austin, are you a Souls fan?
Well, first of all, I haven't played Dark Souls. I haven't played through any of the games. I honestly, it's not that I'm not a fan. I just haven't played a lot of it. The closest I think I've gotten to a Souls-like experience is with Jedi Fallen Order. And it's similar. I don't think that's as slow or as, it's like a light Souls feel, I would think.
Yeah.
But there is one that I have been playing on Stadia, and it's called oh man, what is it called? It's called Chronos Before the Ashes.
Right.
And that one is pretty Souls-like. I would say it's a pretty slow, clunky. I don't think it really compares with Dark Souls personally, but like it has the same like vibe and feel of the structure. It's sort of like as if Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon, and Dark Souls had a baby. Like it's sort of kiddish and animation and stuff like that. Like looks like DreamWorks made it, but it really is. It's cool. But I'm gonna definitely. I want to play Elden Ring. I want to try it out. I'm totally up to give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I'm actually really excited for Elden Ring. I'm a Souls fan. I played Dark Souls 1, 2, didn't play 3. Played Bloodborne, love Bloodborne. Played Sekiro, love Sekiro. Like Sekiro was a peak for me. Like I think Sekiro was the iteration upon iteration of everything else, and then they got into Sekiro, and Sekiro was kind of like it was simple but more advanced. Sekiro was where you're just playing this one character. You don't create your character. You don't rename your character. You're playing this one guy. You only have one weapon the entire time. But the thing is, they changed verticalities. And so what I'm seeing, this is also another iteration upon Sekiro with one. You can see in the gameplay, you're going to be going up cliffs. This is open world.
Yeah.
And I think there's an open world hub. And I think they spoke about how there's going to be like 6 extensions from that hub to like dungeons that you will go and fight the bosses within those areas. And so everything regarding Elden Ring looks dope. That trailer was sick as heck. It was so cool. And so I'm very, very excited for what they have in store for this game. So,
yeah.
And they had a release date too for next year. So I'm really excited. I think July 21st, 2022.
Yeah, it was early next year.
Yeah.
I think that's the right date. I remember, not to go back, I remembered I was going to bring up during your talk on Death Stranding and whatnot in the definitive edition that I got the normal edition like just earlier this year. So I'm really hoping there's not a lot of differences, because I'd like to be able to happily enjoy my base version of the game.
Dude. For sure. Austin, the last one that you have on your list is everything Halo Infinite regarding the multiplayer. What do you have to say about this? I'm very excited for the multiplayer aspect of Halo Infinite.
Me too. Yeah, I really am excited to see that. They kind of gave us an overview of what it's going to look like, specifically with how massive the customization goes. And customizing everything. The person behind the mask. I mean, you don't see the person behind the mask, but the voice, the all of that. I think the one that really stood out to me though is that you'll get to have different AI that you can choose for the battlefield. So with for those who aren't super familiar with Halo, Cortana lives in your head throughout the story. In multiplayer, you get to choose different AI that goes inside your helmet. So it could be an Australian male voice or some British woman or whatever. It's going to be very, very customizable. And I'm super excited just to get super in depth with that. I'm also really excited. The gameplay looks amazing. I think the trailer they released, if you haven't watched the trailer, you gotta watch the trailer. It was all in game, but it was just choreographed so well. It was amazing how they choreographed everything. I really like the I don't know what they're gonna call it, but it's a grappling hook, Pathfinder from Apex, pretty similar function. Swinging around, grabbing, you can zip an object to your person and throw it at someone else.
Dude.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited for all the different cool things you can do. I'm really excited about the visuals. We talked about this before. They got a lot of flack last year, or that was 2020, right? Or was it 20? I can't remember, when they first revealed Infinite.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the visuals look incredible. I think they really upped them a lot. I saw a lot of side by sides all over Twitter from the last time they showed it to this time, and like there were just so many. It was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
They listened and they took action, and the game looks really good now. So I think all of our wishes were met. And I specifically put the multiplayer down on the show notes though, because it's free. Yeah. That's the huge thing. It's free. Anyone can play it. Anyone has access to it. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to get into it. That'll probably be my main game for a while, is the multiplayer on Halo. I've been playing the multiplayer on Reach lately, and I've been loving it. So I can't wait.
Yeah. 343 has been hard at work. For sure. Yeah. And just like talking that multiplayer trailer was fantastic. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that I think it was like the last moment where you're like, the player was like flying through the air and kind of off to the side, he shoots his grappling hook and like grabs energy sword. I think that the energy sword was also like kind of flying through the air and like grabs it, equips it, and like, just totally take someone out. And I'm like, that is dope.
Kill someone.
Yeah. Well, let me correct you real quick, because they did show off the grappling. They did show off the grappling hook, grabbing a gun and then pulling it to you. That moment that you're talking about is also super cool, because what he did is he threw a grenade behind that item, and it blew it towards his direction. So now the items on the floor are not just staying on the floor. They're projectiles that go in direction. So he jumped up, threw the grenade, it propelled it to him. He grabbed it in the dopest samurai armor ever, and it's speaking to me, man. It's speaking to me.
That looks so
and
sick.
Honestly, my multiplayer game choice right now has always just been Warzone. I've been enjoying Warzone. I just like Call of Duty. Like they get it feels right. But I got an Xbox for a reason. I have the Xbox Series X. I was really excited for Infinite, and all power to them. They delayed it. I know they got flack, but that's a lot of respect. They chose to delay it to make it perfect. There's a lot riding on this game, not in regards to Xbox as a whole, but for the franchise. So I know they want to get it perfect. So I'm really excited for that. I'm telling you right now, Halo multiplayer, I'm going to be on that almost every day, dog. Like I'm going to be playing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on there. And what I love is that the battle pass is not going to go away once the next one comes out. The way that their battle pass works is, let's say, like everybody does. I mean, us three, we have jobs. We do our work. We have our significant others that we want to spend time with. We can't game all the time. And with that, sometimes we miss the battle pass. We just can't get everything. And once the next battle pass comes out, usually you can't get everything that you miss. But that's not how it works here. The battle passes will continue to, you'll be able to keep it when the next battle pass comes out. You can choose to just put all your XP to the previous one, so that way you can make sure you got everything there, and then you can move on to the next one. So I love their forward thinking. They're thinking about the players. The game is free to play.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the way that they're doing it is so smart and so well done. I'm ready. I'm gonna buy the battle pass day one. I'm gonna be there ready to go, and I'm gonna be playing the heck out of this game, man, because I'm so
Yeah.
excited for it.
Same.
It is the only game that has me wanting to turn my Xbox back on, or buy a new
Nice.
Xbox, or
Nice.
get Game Pass, or
Yeah.
on a PC if I end up finishing build 1. It's the only one. Like,
Yeah.
there are other games that look good and are interesting, but it's like, that's the only one.
For real. And that's the thing, Adam, is the fact that even if you built a computer, you still don't even have to pay for Game
That's
Pass
fair.
because the game is free. You could just play. You can just play the game.
Right.
You could just download the game and start playing the game. It's awesome, dude. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited. 343 so far is really, really doing well, and I've been seeing a lot of commentary
amazing.
from people who are
Mhm.
huge Halo fans, and even they're like, they're doing all the right things right now. They're doing everything right. So let's just hope that this release happens this year, and we're good.
It really just, the nostalgia thing was like, it was so nostalgic watching the Halo trailer.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, this is just how I remember it. Like the sounds, the everything, all of it. It was just like, I'm so happy to have Halo back on the
Yeah.
forefront. You know, it's so great to hear everything and see everything. Oh,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great.
Going into mine, I mean, we have a couple left, so I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible. Planet of Lana, it was an indie game that was shown off at the Summer Game Fest. I have a video up on YouTube of me kind of going over it. There's gameplay playing on it as well, so check that out if you want to. It is an indie game by Wishfully Studios. I gotta say, we don't know much about this game yet, but when a teaser just has the aesthetic and the music and the mystery all working in cohesion, it grabs me, dude. It looks like a watercolor painting come to life. And what's funny is that on their Twitter account, on the Planet of Lana Twitter account, they were showing their concept art, and then they were showing the gameplay. There is not a difference between the two. Like, the concept art was a full-blown watercolor picture of what they wanted, like a certain scene to look, and then they showed that scene in the game exactly the same way. And so that's their goal, was they want to make sure that the game feels like you're playing within an actual watercolor painting. It feels so Ghibli to me. The music hits so hard. There's this mystery going on. You're playing this girl with her little animal. I have no idea what the animal does, but there's something going on within this world that's falling to pieces by some meteors or something that's coming to the world. So I'm already getting choked up, dude. So I'm really excited.
It's not heartburn.
I'm getting heartburn, dude. I'm really excited for Planet of Lana. Adam, did you see this game?
Yeah. I saw it. I thought it looked nice. Nothing super jumped out at me.
Okay, you're right. I'm gonna kick you from this call. Adam, what is your what is your next game that you want to talk about?
My next one is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Yeah.
So I'm super intrigued. It's
Yes.
from Gearbox and 2K Games. So it's another game within a game, basically. So it's set in the Borderlands universe, as like people in the Borderlands universe gather around and play, Dungeons and Dragons together, basically.
Yeah.
And it's not only is it like, high fantasy, like, straight high fantasy is fine, but I've come to like realize I really love when people kind of take that and like flip it on its head and like warp it at least a little bit and make it really, and kind of zany and kind of defy expectations in ways. Like, I've been listening to Fantasy High, which is like a D&D group, all college humor people, and it's like set in high fantasy, but if a high fantasy reached, I don't know, like 80s level, or like the decade 80s kind of level of technology, with like phones and stuff like that, and like cars, and it's wonderful. And so this, like, to me, speaks that in volumes. And the art style, of course, Borderlands, it's very cool, very distinct. I love it. And then even just the voice cast, like, of course, Ashley Birch is already in the games, and she does a lot of stuff, but you got Wanda Sykes, Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, and I'm just like, what? How does it get better than that? You're telling me that those are the people in my adventuring party? quote unquote in this game. Like, and then I love D&D, so it's just like a lot of cool stuff coming together for a cool game. So
I'm very excited. Very excited. I'm gonna go on Breath of the Wild 2.
Awesome.
We saw an awesome teaser showing off our first glimpse at the gameplay for Breath of the Wild 2. We did get a teaser of it before, but it was kind of just like a CGI trailer. Maybe that was a cutscene within the game. But everything has been just shrouded in mystery. What is Breath of the Wild 2? We don't even know exactly what it is. We don't even know what the exact title of the game is. Is Breath of the Wild 2 the full title? I think they mentioned that there is an actual title for the game. They're not saying it because it's gonna kind of spoil a bit of what the story is. But I will say this: it appears that we're back in Hyrule. And real quick, who's played Breath of the Wild? I've played it. I know Adam has played it. Okay, Austin has played it because I knew Austin had a Switch around the time, so I didn't know if you did.
I played it.
So we're back in Hyrule, and it to me, and I kind of wrote it as Skylands. I know a couple people have been saying it that way, but we're now going to be adventuring up into the sky with these floating islands that are up there. They showed that off. Maybe we might be going underground. That's just theorizing due to the fact that it seems as though both Link and Zelda in these CGI trailers that we've been getting, they are underground. That's all just speculation. But I have to say this. When they showed out that teaser and it opens up and it shows the sky and we don't know who it is, but we see this character just floating down.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I got filled with emotion. I was like, "Let's go, boys!" Like they know how to just get us excited. The game looks beautiful. I'm telling you right now, it's running off of a Nintendo Switch Pro. There's no way it's not. It's running off of a Nintendo Switch Pro, and I think the fact that they're adding that added element of the sky, like they're putting so much more into this open world, which calls for more power to be drawn to load all this up. Unless Nintendo's found the magic to kind of hide all these loads somehow.
I mean, to be fair, Breath of the Wild did get released on Wii U, so maybe this is just Breath of the Wild using the full power of the Switch.
Oh, okay, Adam. All right.
Plus, people get better developing for hardware towards as the console lifespan goes on, right?
Yeah, you're right. I will say they're not gonna let this game just be a Nintendo Switch Pro game. They're like Nintendo's smart. They're gonna make it some sort of cross. But I'm very excited. I've been watching so many videos because there's been some awesome speculation of who are you actually playing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not the kind of person that's like just throw a female character in a game just for the sake of that. I want to play as Zelda. I'm not gonna lie. I think Breath of the Wild really put her in this pedestal where I'm like, she's dope, dude. Like she's super cool. And there's been some speculation maybe they're just putting a different, a character model in place. But when you go in, you're actually playing somebody else. This has been done before. The Metal Gear Solid 2 teaser, people thought you were playing as Snake. You're actually playing as Raiden. And they've done this multiple times for other things. And so that'd be cool if you're actually playing as Zelda. And then there's been also other rumors of people. And I love this speculation. And if it's true, this would be dope. There's been some speculations. People are thinking you're playing as Ganondorf. Like some pre-Ganon before he became Ganon. That's the reason why his arm is completely like he has a robotic arm. He has an arm that's built with the technology that is within this world of Hyrule or whatever. And so I don't know. I'm so stoked. But I will say this. The last thing I have to say about Breath of the Wild 2 is the fact that it has a release date. And they didn't seem confident. The way that they said is so far it looks it's going well so far. I know Japan was hit really hard with COVID. And so there was a lot of hauling on game production over there. But the fact that they announced that this game is coming in 2022, it didn't seem very confident yet. That leads me to believe, and we don't have to get into that conversation right now, but that leads me to believe that Nintendo Switch Pro is not coming out this year. I think we'll see it at the beginning of next year. And that date kind of solidified that to me. A lot of the games that I would think are super big that you need a Nintendo Switch Pro are all coming out next year. So that kind of confirms it for me. But do you guys have anything else to say in regards to Breath of the Wild 2? Sweet. All right. Adam, do you want to say? You can go say something if you have something.
I was trying to give Austin a chance if he wanted to jump in, but
go ahead.
All right, Adam, you have Death's Door. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
So, well, so
I'll chime
I'm
in
just
after
gonna
you, Adam.
throw out to break up all the, well, maybe not break up all the theories, but what I think is probably the simpler theory is that there's time travel and that the like Link we see flying through the sky who has wild hair, that is Link, but he ends up going back in time and being the hero of legend that's talked about in the first Breath of the Wild. You know, because
That's
he
cool.
now with the arm, with the crazy hair, and like the shroudy thing looks like that guy. So
Dude.
they
He
and they
looking
did
like
that in
Super Saiyan
Skyward
Trunks.
Sword. They did that in Skyward Sword, so it's
Yeah.
spoilers for, actually, I'm sorry.
Come on,
Spoilers
dude.
for Skyward Sword because it is getting an HD remaster in a month, and I'm sure people are going to be playing it for the first time, but
Yeah.
sorry about
Sweet.
that. So, and then what was, I don't know. Oh, just goes to show, don't listen to all these Bloomberg articles and whatever Wall Street Journal that are like, our analysts say that the Switch Pro is going to get announced sometime on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, come on.
Don't
We've
listen
been
to
saying that for like 2 years.
Absolutely. Austin, do you have anything to say in regards to Breath of the Wild 2?
Yeah, I really am excited about the abilities. You know, they seem
Yeah.
to showcase some cool stuff you
Yes.
can do. You know, going through walls. I'm excited to see how you can utilize that sort of robotic cyborg arm you have. I think that was sick. I think the character
Yes.
looks awesome. I'm super
Yes.
excited to play. I think it's Link. I think it's, I personally, I think it's Link. From another time, that'd be really cool too. A time traveling Link. But I'm excited. I'm just stoked for the gameplay. I'm stoked to fly in the sky and do crazy stuff. Yeah, so it's gonna be great, and I'm stoked. I'm definitely gonna buy a Switch for this game. So
Sweet.
definitely gonna be buying a console for it.
Very
Heck
cool.
yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Adam, what do you have to say in regards to Death's Door? I'm so excited for this game.
This is probably actually my most hyped game. You know, I left it for last. You know, like
Nice.
Breath of the Wild's cool, but that's gonna just come when that comes. This game I think is out next month.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. It is such an Adam game. Like the combat looks like it's like straight ripped out from Hyper Light Drifter, which I love.
Yeah.
It has like kind of a mood and like a setting that's kind of like, in one way, it's kind of like Hollow Knight, where it's very kind of like dark and depressing, but also has like colorful aspects of it. And that's really
Yes.
cool. But it has like this interesting kind of zany like world story to it where
Yes.
it's like people don't die naturally anymore and the world is now run by these like very like lazy crows, and you play someone who has to then go out and collect souls. What?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it actually, the graphics actually remind me a lot of The Last Campfire, and
Ooh,
kind of
okay.
also like Tunic
I was
and
gonna say that.
the
It
Link's
looks like
Awakening
Tunic.
remaster,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like more of a toyetic. Still, it has like, you know, I guess high resolution, but it's still kind of like this like toy aesthetic, which looks really smooth and it's really easy to see stuff, which will play well no matter where you play it. You know, makes it a great Switch game, but it's still like a game that you would play on your PlayStation 5 or PC or whatever, or you're on your phone if you're doing like some kind of streaming for it, or if it comes to iOS naturally. But this, I try not to get my hopes up too much, but this, you know, could easily like go into like my top 3 indie games or top 5 games or something overall if it's like well
Wow.
executed and, you know, and whatnot. So
Yeah. Very excited for Death's Door. If you guys haven't noticed, that is the third Devolver Digital game that Adam has on his list. So Devolver Digital is obviously killing it. They continue to kill it.
Yeah.
Death's Door, like you said, looks a lot like Tunic. It's almost as if someone was like, they saw Tunic, which has been talked about for who knows how long, 5 years now. And they're like, hold my beer. And they're like, let's get this going. And it looks good. It looks so good. And I can't wait. Very Metroidvania aesthetic to it. So I am so stoked. So stoked for Death's Door.
And the verticality, like if you're watching like the gameplay demo. It's like there's aspects where there's like bridges crossing over different areas, and so it's like you have to path back over again. Which, like you said, Metroidvania, or like the 3D kind of Metroid space,
Yes.
in a lot of aspects. So
Yeah. And then lastly, speaking of Metroid, the last game that I have is Metroid Dread. We have all been kind of knowing that Metroid Prime 4 was in the works. They first announced it years ago. Unfortunately, it got completely rebooted again, being made by Retro Studios. They did acknowledge that it is still in production at Retro Studios, and I have a lot of faith in them. They know what they're doing. Retro Studios is a really good development house. So I'm excited for what they have, but I don't think anyone was expecting to see something to hold us over. Like Metroid Dread was a game that was so let me put this in perspective. The first original 2D Metroid game that we last got was in 2002. That was Metroid Fusion. 2002. That was for the Game Boy, okay? And then they announced in 2005 that Metroid Dread was in development for the DS, but was canceled due to the limitations of the console itself. So this is I don't know how many years, 15, 18, 16 years in the making. Like, this is a long time coming. And I'm not going to lie, I popped off for this. Out of everything in that entire conference, I was excited for Breath of the Wild 2, but Metroid, I'm a huge Metroid fan. And it's been said that Metroid, I think, lives on in people through nostalgia. Not a lot of people buy it. But I will say this game gives me hope because we saw through GameStop, we saw through Amazon, they all showed their listings of the top selling games after E3. For GameStop and Amazon, it was both Metroid Dread. So I think that shows off the hunger and want that everybody has for another Metroid game. On top of that, I've never played the Prime games. They look super cool. But if I was given a choice of just a full, complete 2D Metroid game compared to a, first-person shooter, I would probably do the 2D because that's just where I see Metroid fit into. Like, that's just what I know it to be. But I'm still gonna play the Prime games whenever they get remastered from the Switch. They're gonna do that. I know that they have to. But either or, I'm very excited for Metroid Dread. It looks super cool. I can't wait for it to come out, and it's coming out this year, dude, for the Switch. So very excited for that. Do you guys have anything to say in regards to Metroid Dread or anything else before we end off this topic of the show? We'll start with Adam.
I do not. I'm stoked.
I'm interested by your point, Robert, about like if you would prefer getting the 2D Metroid games over like the Metroid Prime series. And I say that because for me personally, I still love the 2D Metroids, or really, I still love Super Metroid because that's the only one I've actually like played to completion. I've done a little bit of Samus Returns, and want to go back to it now. But to me, the indie space has just championed the 2D Metroidvania genre and really like made a lot of special games out of it.
That is very true.
Not that I wouldn't enjoy 2D Metroid, and I'm of course I'm going to buy it and play it and hopefully love it. It does look really cool, but there's just so many other games in that area that I like, and so Metroid Prime specifically fills a niche where it's that 3D Metroid world design, but it's like the only one that's like an FPS as well. Like, Jedi Fallen Order, Dark Souls, God of War 2018, like they all have like aspects of that kind of world design, but they're, for the most part, like melee action games, third person camera. So Metroid Prime like fills a very unique role in the game space still.
In the catalog of Nintendo for sure. I don't think there's any other IP that they have that can lend to an FPS game. Yeah. And you do make a great point. And honestly, it's almost as if Elvis went back to try to make music, but he's already outdated. He's not relevant anymore. And people are like, get off the stage, old man. Like, you kind of have to innovate more after that, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Which Metroid Dread going into the survival horror genre is a perfect move from that regard. Because it's like there's no way that they can just go back and top Super Metroid without changing the formula. Like people are going to be like, this isn't a separate Super Metroid or these other like indie Metroidvania games that we love now. So.
Exactly. And I'll be honest, I would love to see an iteration of. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Since I was a kid, I've always created my idea of what I will make the dream Metroid game be. Like I loved Metroid that much, and Other M. I know a lot of people didn't like Other M. I really enjoyed Other M. The story was super weak. I get that, but I think the gameplay of Other M had so much potential, and I would like for there to be. I would love a third person action adventure with semi horror elements in a Metroid game. No FPS, but I just want everything that we see in like a God of War or something like that fully implemented into a Metroid game. We see that with Breath of the Wild. We see that with Mario Odyssey. Like I just want that third person action adventure implemented into a Metroid game, almost like Returnal.
I was about to say, I think
Returnal.
that game's called Returnal.
It's called Returnal. That is exactly what it's called. It's called Returnal, but none of the what's the name of the game? What's the genre? It is a roguelike. Without a roguelike kind of gameplay aspect to it. Just complete horror aspect and just that tension. So I really would love that within the franchise. But Adam, I get what you're saying, and that actually is a really, really good point. So I totally agree with you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know we're kind of running a little long here. I want to just go through real quick in regards to what we've been playing. We don't need to go through complete just breakdowns of what we've been doing, but I do want to make it known what we've been playing because we have not talked about this in over maybe 2 episodes. So Austin, real quick, what games have you been playing? I know that you have this whole setup with the Google TV and the Stadia and all that. So what have you been playing in regards to this past 2 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've kind of been going back and forth between PC and Stadia. So PC, I started Control. It was free on Epic Games, and I got that.
Dude.
Or no, was it free? Oh, yeah, it was free, right? Yeah, it was free.
Yeah.
And
you might want to check your bank account.
Yeah, right. It's been really fun. It's really trippy. Like the story's trippy, and I really like the combat and the feel. I've seen the previews and screenshots and stuff of her flying. I haven't got the flying ability, the floating ability yet, but I'm working through it. I love the gun. I love it all. So I've been playing Control. I've been playing Halo Reach as well, multiplayer specifically, just multiplayer. And it took some getting used to. I used to play that game in high school all the time, and I was pretty good. And so hopping back into it, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this game feels so crazy weird. I'm so used to, as far as shooters go, like I'm so used to Modern Warfare. So like that quick kind of snappy stuff is just not really Halo, it's a little slower.
If you don't mind me asking,
but I've been really
in regards to the multiplayer, is there actual people still playing on those servers?
For
yeah, dude. Yeah.
Master Chief
I mean,
Collection?
I have no difficulty. Yeah, Master Chief Collection. Master Chief Collection is available on Game Pass. It's all free if you have Game Pass. And plenty of people playing. And
love that.
Plenty. I barely have to wait for games at all. Like people are still playing Halo, and it's awesome.
Sweet.
So I've been loving that. As far as going over to Stadia, like you mentioned, and as I mentioned earlier, Stadia is on select Android TVs as well as the Google TV. The app is available, and so I've been playing. Obviously, Jedi Fallen Order is like my comfort game. Won't go into that. You've all heard plenty about Fallen Order. I love the game. I mentioned Chronos Before the Ashes. It's a Dark Souls-esque game. And that's been cool, been fun. I'm sort of stuck on it right now. I'm a little confused, but I'm getting through it. And then another cool kind of like side scrolly 2D game is Trine 4. Trine 4 is on Stadia. It's free on Stadia Pro, I believe.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful looking game. It's a fantasy game. It sort of follows 3 different characters: a mage, an archer, sort of assassin, and sort of a brute warrior.
It is super nice
and,
looking.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and the storytelling is great. Similar to Last Campfire, where you have a really great narrator kind of talking through the whole story, and it's a joy to play. I like each character has a very specific roles and functions, so it's really fun to kind of swap between all of that. So that's kind of what I've been going through. A good variety of games, but yeah, it's been a good couple
Sweet.
weeks of gaming. I've been
That's
really
awesome,
enjoying
dude.
it.
Adam, what you been playing?
Well, I guess I will mention I did beat and platinum God of War, and it's a phenomenal game, and everyone should play it on PS5 because the 60 frames per second makes a huge difference. And then so since then, I've actually moved on to Bloodborne, which I'm like, I told myself, thank you for the fake applause, Rob. I have moved on to Bloodborne, which is like, I'm like, I told myself I was going to wait for them to do a 60 like FPS patch, but
Yeah,
then
dude.
just like finally the curiosity was like, man, this just seems like I want to.
Yeah.
Actually, really what happened is I tried to play Demon Souls, but then I was having a bug with couldn't get past like the loading screen, and it was like I tried what people said to do online, didn't work, so I'm like, I'll just play Bloodborne instead, and Bloodborne is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really very clear why it's such a special game to so many people. Just the kinds of things it does in the levels is just so different than what they did in Dark Souls, and they've just evolved the combat in such a cool way, and like the way that they make you manage your resources. In a way, it's like a very light survival horror element, and that aspect is like how
Absolutely.
you manage your resources is way different than Dark Souls. They make you use them, and
Yeah.
that's just really cool to me that they've found a way to like take these elements of the game that people could very easily and very often just straight up ignoring Dark Souls, and then like get you to use them. Like I said, no blocking, very quick dodging, lots of dodging. It's very cool. And just the trick weapon concept is so cool to me. Just the fact that you have like your weapon, and there's like 2 variations of the weapon that you switch in between really quick. And it just makes the combat so layered and so deep. And just it's really like mastering it is even, there's so much more to master there, even more so than what was in Dark Souls. So it's really cool. It's really
Nice.
great.
You haven't had that.
pl-
You haven't had that story spoiled for you, right?
I know nothing about
Good.
the story of this
Good.
game.
Good.
Nothing. Literally, I think the only thing I saw before was maybe the first mandatory boss fight, and I had no idea where in the game it was, and so even when I came upon it in the game, I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, so it's really good. So
Sweet.
very
Sweet.
very intrigued by the story. The other thing is very different. I picked up Link Between Worlds on 3DS, which I hadn't
Nice.
finished before, and I hadn't played Link to the Past before whenever I had started this. So now that I've played Link to the Past, I'm like, oh yeah, I know this play Tower Hera. Did this in the other game, and just it's really cool how they've used the same map, but like changed a lot. So yeah, enjoying that. Just got
Nice.
the Master Sword, so yeah,
Sweet.
it's fun.
Awesome. So for me, I've been playing a couple things. I jumped into a couple demos. These demos were available after the E3 showcases the following week from like Xbox. So I jumped into the Tunic demo. It was a very small portion of the game that we get to play, not too much. Everything that I love, everything that about it, I love. I'm very excited for this game to come out. Ever since the beginning of when it was shown off, I was very intrigued. Playing it, I'm hooked. I'm dead set. My only thing
Awesome.
with this, is this, and I'm not sure if there's other games that have done this before. I feel like with a lot of games within how do I say this? So I feel like there's always a tilt shift on majority of games that's at a 90-degree angle. and you either are moving side by side on the 90-degree angle, or you go up and down that 90-degree angle, north and south. I don't know how many games do this, because I know Death's Door doesn't do this either. But this game is at, I'm sorry for the listeners, you're gonna have to watch the video to kind of understand what I'm trying to say, because I'm trying to think in regards to degrees, because I have to do this kind of stuff with Photoshop with shadows. I think it's at like at 40. So this is, you have your hand straight, 90-degree angle going down slanted. This game is at a 45-degree angle at all times. So you're always going kind of northeast to continue going up north. Does that make sense? So it doesn't shift that way at all. It doesn't like move around or like flatten itself out. It's always at a 45 degree. You're moving up this way. You move up and down side by side in that direction.
I mean,
So-
it's like the Supergiant games, right?
Well, Supergiant is also at a 90 degree, is it not?
I don't know.
So like
maybe I'm not understanding you right, but they'd have that
I guess
like they have that angled, look, rather than being like if you're looking at a grid and it being it's not straight on, it's like from this way, and then of course you're looking down. Sorry,
Okay, I see
camera.
what you're saying. I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's say there's stairs in a game like that. Would the stairs be just straight up going up and down, or would they be at an angle?
They would be at an
you
angle.
going up the
Yeah.
stairs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then
All the
this has been done
Supergiant games
before.
are like that. Death's Door is like that. It's
Okay, so this is not new. To me, this is new. I've never seen that before. It threw me off a little bit, but I was like, it didn't bother me at all. It was just something that I've never seen before. I'm very excited for it. Tunic is very promising. It's cute, and I'm so excited for this game. So I'm dead set. I'm locked in whenever it comes out.
cool.
Okay. Next, I played the Sable demo. Look, I think the only good thing that Sable has going on is that song that Japanese Breakfast made for them, because unfortunately the game did not run well. And
Oh,
I will say, for me, it's not like the game is running off of a cloud for me. It was downloaded straight onto my Series X, played off of it. Again, this is a demo, so I don't know if this is some pre-alpha package that they're showing from before. If they did, I don't know why they would do that. But there was the game. The way it works is the game should be running at a steady either 30 or 60, but your characters move in like 10 frames per second, if that makes any sense. So there's okay. So let's say it for a walking cycle, it takes 10 frames. Well, then it's like as if they cut out every other frame. And so it looks choppy, but that's the aesthetic. But unfortunately for me, the game was completely inconsistent regarding frame rate. There were so many pop-ins. There'd be moments where I'll be standing in a direction and completely everything went dark, as if there was a shadow over everything. And then just move my camera just a bit, the light came back. And so there was some pop-ins in regarding shadows not doing really well. Prompts were not showing up for me. I couldn't actually talk to people or access my bike or do certain things because the prompt was not showing up. It was just not working for me. And so I was very excited for this game. I don't want to say I'm completely giving up on it, but at this moment, I'm not jumping into it anymore. The demo really soured the entire thing for me. And so I'm just not going to be checking out Sable anymore. I know on Twitter, Austin did say that, he showed off that he was interested in the game. And I said, oh, well, I'll wait till I talk about it on the podcast. And I didn't have a good run with it, but I don't want that to dissuade people. That was just a demo. For all we know, it was just a slice of who knows, beta gameplay, pre-alpha gameplay. I don't know. So it could come out that the game actually runs really well. But for me and what I played on that demo was not good at all. And I'm not going to play it at all so far. Next, I jumped into some Halo Combat Evolved. I've never played the Halo games. Well, I have played like the multiplayer with my cousins when we were little, but I never went through the story. I'm excited for Infinite. I wanted to make sure I'm prepared and caught up on the story. So I jumped into Combat Evolved. I love it. It's fun. It threw me off, dude, because I was at the beginning doing the little beginning tutorial and showing you how to move around and stuff like that. I accidentally pushed the button that showed you what it looked like before. And
Yeah.
literally I was sitting in my chair. Like I tapped it 2 times and I literally jumped like, well, what was that? Like I thought the game glitched for a second. And then I pushed it again. I was like, oh my God, I forgot I forgot they had that feature. And oh God, it didn't look too good back in the day, but for sure, I'm sure it looked great at the time. At the time, it probably looked great, but these days, not anymore. But I've been having fun with it. Kind of leading up to the next game that I've been playing. I, Last night, I was trying to play the game with my Razer Kishi. Don't ever play a first-person shooter game with a controller like that. It just did not lend well to it. I was actually like, I can't play this. I have to stop. And so I went into my Game Pass and I literally downloaded as many indie games as I could to fill up the rest of my storage. So that way, because I was like, this is what I can play in bed. And the one game that downloaded the quickest was a game called Pikuniku. And didn't know what it was. I've seen it before. And I jumped into it. And I'm not going to lie. It is a delight of surprise. I love it so far.
You wanna know who publishes Pikuniku?
Devolver Digital, is that who it is?
They do. Also, that game's free on Stadia Pro too. That's like, yeah, I haven't played it yet. I haven't played any games on Stadia yet, despite signing up for the Pro. But I have a few downloaded, and that's one of them.
I highly recommend you guys try Pikuniku out. If it's free, try it out. I'm not going to say too much, but I've never laughed at a game, ever. Maybe at It Takes Two, which is a co-op game that came out this year by Hazelight, Joseph Ferris. I laughed at it a little bit because, it was trying to be a comedic game. But this game, I love dumb humor, and this game has dumb humor. It would be this thing where you're this cute little guy with just 2 legs, and you run into these people, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're the beast!" And then you're captured, and they're like, "What?" And you're kind of like, you can choose word options, but the entire time you're just chill, like, I'm not gonna do anything to you guys. And then they're like, "Oh, really? Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything." Oh, okay, cool. And then they just let you go and you do your thing. And it's what I love about it is the first. I'm not gonna spoil like how you do this or whatnot, but you break a bridge and you need to fix the bridge in order for you to kind of get these people to kind of trust you a bit. And the way that I figured out how to fix that bridge, the game didn't tell me how to do it. It is just through you understanding the craziness of this weird world and utilizing it. Because I accidentally fixed it, and I started laughing out loud. I was like, "There's no freaking way that's how you fix this bridge." And so I totally recommend you guys play this game. It is fun. It is funny. It is cute. So I'm really, really excited for that. But anyways, that's everything in regards to what we've been playing. We do have a couple of things in regards to games being released. I'm just going to read them real quick. Mario Golf Super Rush comes out on the 25th for Switch. Scarlet Nexus coming out for the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC on June 25th. Very excited for Scarlet Nexus. I can't wait for that game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is coming out on the Switch on the 25th. We have Sky Children of the Light coming out on Switch on June 29th. That is by That Game Company, who is also known for
Journey.
Journey, thank you guys. Thank you. Journey on the PS3. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus is coming to Switch on June 30th. I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'm not going to tell you what the game is, but play Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. It is not what you think it is, and that's all I'm going to say. That is all I'm going to say. The game is not what it looks like. And then lastly, A Plague Tale Innocence comes out upgraded for next gen for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch for July 6th. I'm very excited for Plague Tale. I actually downloaded it and I was going to play it, but I'm so glad that I found out that it's actually getting an upgraded, enhanced port for next gen consoles, because I know the sequel is actually in development right now. So check that out whenever it does come out on July 6th. But guys, that is the XP podcast. Thanks for joining us here on this podcast, going over our top picks for E3. I appreciate you guys staying, going through the troubleshooting. You guys were here with us from the beginning. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And again, like I said from the very beginning, I have the interview up with Chandler Wood regarding everything the Blue Box Game Studios conspiracy on the channel right now when this video is published. So check that out on the YouTube channel. And until next time, guys, we love you. Keep playing those games, and peace out.
See ya.